Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 77. I'm your host, James Shotwell, and we have a special episode for you today. In light of the recent events in Orlando and the ongoing problems in our country, it's a tough time to keep your head up. Being positive is increasingly hard day to day, and I'm hoping that maybe we can bring just a little bit of light into your day by sharing an artist that has brought a lot of joy into my life and is making music for the purpose of bettering the world around them. My guest this week is Nahko from Nahko and Medicine for the People. Now, I know not all of you are familiar with the group, but they just released a brand new album called HOKA through our friends at SideOneDummy Records on June 10th, 2016, and it's available right now in record stores, on Spotify, Apple Music, but as always, if you can afford to buy the album, just buy the album. It's better to support artists directly. Anyways, back to Nahko. I wasn't familiar with Nahko even 2 months ago, but my friend Jamie Coletta, who works at SideOneDummy Records, sent me the album and told me there were a few songs I absolutely had to hear because they were onto something new and exciting, and she wanted my thoughts. And I gotta say, I wholeheartedly agree. If you're familiar with Side One, they have a lot of great punk bands. They do the Vans Warped Tour compilation. They have the group Pup. They have Jeff Rosenstock. They have a lot of really cool artists, but none of them, and I don't think any artist in the history of Side One has sounded quite like Nahko and Medicine for the People. The best thing I can use to describe it are words like organic or natural. There's something very earthy about the music Nahko and Medicine for the People create, and it's kind of fitting because the purpose of their music, for the most part, is to raise awareness for the need to make some changes in our own lives and in the world around us, and how we are the keys to influencing that change as people. If you have any sort of audience, if you're on social media, if you have a Facebook account, if you have friends, you have the ability to speak to those people and uplift them, and hopefully through doing so, make the world a little bit better for the rest of us to live within. And I'm here to talk about all of those things with Nahko. He's actually the second artist ever to come to Inside Music headquarters in downtown Minneapolis and sit right across from me in this very lovely conference room that we share with a bunch of other companies. And we're going to dig into it. We're going to dig into HOKA. We're going to dig into his story. And it's a little bit shorter than some of our episodes because he had to get off to a acoustic in-store at Electric Fetus, the best record store in the Twin Cities. And I think we still did a good job. I think what we came out with is something that's hopefully going to get you interested about his music and hopefully remind you of your own power to make the world a better place. Now, before we get to Nahko's interview, I got to tell you a few quick things. First and foremost, this episode of Inside Music is brought to you by Holix, the music industry's leading digital promotional distribution company. And what that means is that Holix works with publicists, record labels, managers, and independent artists from all over the world to share new and unreleased music without fear of piracy. Should leaks occur, and unfortunately in these days they do, Holix has state-of-the-art technology that can not only stop the spread of unwanted files online, but also find the people responsible for the leak. For more information on Holix and access to a free 30-day trial, visit holix.com. That's HAULIX.com. Second, I want to tell you that you should be following Inside Music on Twitter. Yes, this podcast has its own Twitter account, and though that's not a new idea, it's something that is very important to me, and I would love for you to join the conversation. Our handle is @InsideMusicPod. That's Inside Music POD. Follow along, get updates on all the upcoming guests. In fact, just a few days ago, we tweeted pretty much every guest we'll have now through the middle of August. So if you go digging, you can find that tweet, and maybe you'll get excited about who's on the horizon. I'm not going to give it away here because you should be following us on Twitter. Third, support Nahko and Medicine for the People. This is a group that I don't know anyone who could find a problem with getting behind their music and the message of what they're trying to do through every song, every note, everything about their career. Look into their videos on YouTube. If you can find Make a Change, that's probably my personal favorite of the videos, but there's also San Quentin and a ton of things. The band has 3 albums already, so there's a wealth of content out there for you to enjoy for free before deciding whether or not to make a purchase. But let me tell you now, you're going to want to make a purchase. If you have vinyl, you should definitely order a copy of the new record on vinyl. Now, I think that's all I have for right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of music from the new album, which I love, called HOKA. I'm not going to tell you the song right now because we'll probably discuss it in the episode, and that'll be a little bit more fun. But then I'm going to get to the conversation with Nahko. So again, holix.com for all your distribution needs, @InsideMusicPod on Twitter. Buy the new Nahko and Medicine for the People album through SideOneDummy. Support the great labels that support great talent. And yeah, enjoy the show.
I'll be the earth that ground you from the chaos all around. I'll be the home you return to. Yeah. I can be your middle ground. and I will serve as a reminder. If you jump, you will not fall. Go on and spread those wings of reason. We are water after all. And if you call on me, I'll come running like a coyote. 'Cause we're pillars indeed. A lighthouse when you're out to sea. A beacon when direction's all I need. A compass if you know what I mean. Drunk on that nectar of all that you are to me.
You just flew in today?
Just now, yeah. It's here from the airport.
So, from California?
No, I was in Chicago.
Chicago. Oh, so that's not bad.
Nah.
It's like 90 minutes.
Hour and a half, yeah, it was easy.
Now, you're playing Electric Fetus today.
Yeah,
Have you been there before?
I have not, although I have friends that work there.
Oh, it's amazing. It's the best store. It's Prince's record store here in the city. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's where everyone goes.
Yeah.
And then you're playing Electric Forest this weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend, Michigan.
Yep.
What are you doing between now and then? Is this your last thing until then?
I'm playing a little festival actually down in Geneva.
I don't even know where that is. I just moved here a while ago. So.
Oh, where are you from?
Boston is where we moved from.
Okay, yeah. Harmony Park is a long-standing place that holds multiple different festivals year-round.
Okay.
It's actually the first place that ever booked me.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been coming to Minnesota for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, first girlfriend was a farm girl from Denell, Minnesota, and we're still super close friends. Her family still lives like an hour from the festival site.
Nice.
Yeah, the Wookie Foot crew from Minnesota is
Okay.
were the first people to bring me to Minnesota, so I have deep roots here.
I came here for the first time in May of last year. My boss was like, "We're gonna open this office that's here," and so he tried to bring me out to swoon me. But realizing I'm from Boston, you've been there, you know what Boston's like. It was a little hard to adjust, but I came around to it. So we just moved out here in February.
Nice.
So I'm still.
Are you liking it?
I like it. It's different. I'm from Michigan originally, so I mean.
You're a Midwestern boy.
Midwest is Midwest.
Yeah.
It's all the same once you go outside the city.
Yeah.
Flat and.
Yeah.
Flat and open highways and cornfields.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I thought maybe you'd flown in from California. I felt bad, like you just got off a.
No, I've been on a week of in-stores, so it's kind of like it's been a fun week, you know.
How's it going? How's it going so far?
It's cool. I mean, it's kind of a new thing for me, you know.
Yeah.
Our whole band started from a totally different way of doing things. So, working with Side One this last year, and then sort of observing them put the record out on Friday, and then. It's been like 3.5 years since I put the last record out.
Oh, wow.
And I did that one independently, so just kind of, it's all new for me, you know what I mean? And it's fun because I just, I get to work with a really small, team that is very passionate about our music. And, last week was crazy. We did this whole, we invited 100 fans to come out to this camp out in Santa Barbara and listen to the record, and then we did a couple shows this last weekend to promote or to do a record release party in San Diego at Belly Up, and then I went straight and started doing the in-stores. After this weekend I get to go home on Sunday to LA and just chill for 4 days, and then it's Electric Forest, and then back to, and then so the festival season's quite underway at the moment. So.
Yeah, and your band really, you got the perfect band for festival season this season.
Yeah, we have a great festival.
You have that sound that can just fit in with pretty much all lineups.
Yeah, well, because we have a very broad genre, so...
It's hard for me to describe. I've been trying for a month and a half now, and every time I've written about the band a few times, and every time I'm like,
I still don't know what to say.
I throw out words organic, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means, but...
I always say, lately I've been saying, rock and roll world music kind of thing.
World music, I like that.
Because it's encompassing,
Yeah, we're good. So how did Side One come into the picture? So you guys, the band got together in 2008, right?
Kinda.
Kind of.
I mean, the band's kind of been a mishmash of people for years.
All right.
Like my guitar player picked me up hitchhiking like 7 years ago, and I already had the name, and I was touring. Wasn't touring. I was actually a farmer. I was farming in Hawaii for like 6 years.
Okay.
But I was playing solo, and messing with people, and the drummer was the bartender at the tavern, for years, and then bass player was I met in Indonesia, as I would go there once a year and kick it in Bali and play music there. But yeah, the band itself now has the horn player and the violin player came back into the picture last summer, and they were actually original band members from back in the day, 2005. You know what I mean? But we were always just jamming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really look at ourselves as a band until 4 years ago. And consider it being the work that we would do specifically.
So then you have the 2 albums out already, and then when does Side One come
3.
into the picture? Yeah, 3. HOKA's the 3rd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what I meant. You had 2 out before Side One came into the picture. So how do you
Side
get the
One
attention?
came into the picture because of a man named Craig Aronson, who used to work at Universal. You know Craig?
I've met Craig once.
You met Craig. Craig, left his work with the bigger companies and decided he wanted to start something small after having discovered our music. And Craig was the first guy to help defuse my anti-label sort of mindset.
Fair enough.
And I worked with him for about a year, and then he passed away. And so after he passed away, I was talking to Side One. Even before, we were still talking to them we were just all talking shop, how you do.
Yeah.
And I continued to talk to them after the fact, and they also represented an artist that is a close friend of mine, Xavier Rudd.
Yeah.
And so that connection was a validating, talking point. And then, and then it took us about a year and a half, almost 2 years to solidify something. I was going back and forth between what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Now we're homies.
Side One's always been known as this, almost like a punk label. And it's only in the last 3 or 4 years they've kind of started to veer out of that. Did that concern you at first? Were you we're not a punk band?
The only thing that no, not at all. I feel sometimes a company's Rolodex might not necessarily pertain to me, but I'm such a self-made person that I constantly bring them stuff too. Although obviously you want a partner in some kind of capacity to be bringing you ideas. But they are good at it at the moment, and I think that I definitely don't fit into any kind of lineup with any of the bands they represent.
No.
But I think that also can be used as an advantage too, to fit into a new way, and to be working in a new fashion.
Well, I feel sound genre-wise maybe not, but there's this aesthetic that Side One artists have that I think you fit in, where you're a thing unto yourself. Where that's part of why it's hard for me to describe your sound to people, because
Sure.
You just kind of got to hear it because it's just him. I can't be you sound like blank. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's no end to that, and that's how most of the great Side One bands have been.
Sure. Yeah, there's a grassroots sense of the way that punk bands have always been anti-establishment in some ways,
Yeah.
And DIY. You know what I mean?
And you seem like you established yourself really well. There's 6 fandom Twitter accounts for your music.
That's right.
Before you came along with Side One, I was right when James told me about you, I started looking up. I was like, man, this guy has fan clubs, and there's a Brazil one, and there's a North American one.
The Facebook pages are insane.
Yeah.
Because our fan club's called Medicine Tribe. And there's probably a Medicine Tribe page that has been created for every state almost. And then there's Medicine Tribe for singles, for activism, for
singles. I like that
for,
one.
Parents of the next 7 generations. It's for herbalism, for all kinds of things. What's cool is that seeing that people have taken sort of the bulk of the message of the music and created community out of it, and that is really powerful because I actually have reached out to the Medicine Tribe community specifically, seeing if they were able to pull something together, and tested the power of it.
Yeah.
Power of community. And I had a friend who was in need in Northern California one day, and I reached out to the Medicine Tribe California page and said, hey, can you help my friend out? And I got over 200 replies of people willing to go assist her.
What do you accredit like having that kind of a circle around you? Like how did you build that?
I just have kept good people around me, you know? People that you know, consistently are in my corner, you know, from all walks of life, I guess, you know, and you know, I think a lot of the focus for me has been building bridges between communities that necessarily wouldn't even talk to each other in the past.
You literally have a song with that title on it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I find fandom so fascinating, especially when I find someone in your case where there's like all these little subsets of a much larger group where it's not just this one big group of fandom, but then they're so passionate that they're like, let's find everyone in my area or everyone that likes the thing that I like, including this.
They already threw their own festival.
They threw their own festival?
In Indiana, 600 people attended, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I mean, if they ask you to play something like that, you just have to go.
No, actually, I knew about it, but you know, it's interesting because it's not even really about me.
Yeah, it's something. It's become its own thing.
It's become its own thing. It's become a community thing, and yeah, of course they love the music, and if I shut up, they freak out. But they're not going to be like hitting me up, being like, "Oh my God, will you please come to the festival?" You know. So that in itself is really cool that I've been able to create something that isn't attached to me even.
Yeah, I mean, not many bands can pull it off. There's like the Grateful Dead, Fish, you. That's where my list ends pretty much off the top of my head. It's not that company to have.
Yeah, no, it's not bad at all. I mean, there's definitely something unique happening here, and you know, even in this whole week of going to these going to interviews, going to in-stores, you know, places where most of the people are like, who is this guy? You know, he's got a crazy following, but we've never even heard of him, you know. And I go, and then when I'm in those places, at least one person comes forward and says, you know what, my friend just saw you, or you know, I totally remember hearing about you, or like, you know, some story, you know what I mean? But that's the power of like, you know, word of mouth, you know.
Well, when did this album start coming together? Like, are you someone that writes, like you do the album cycle and you start working on new material, you just write all the time?
Like I said, you know, before, everything's kind of been backwards. So I'm still, you know, a lot of the songs on this record are older than 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
You know?
So they're just, I mean, 19 tracks, there's got to be some older
Yeah,
stuff.
there's a good, you know, I'd say half and half, and then the other half are newer than the last 2 years, you know, or even, you know, written last summer.
Okay.
But yeah, I've never really written to pertain to a record. You know, I wouldn't say I would never do it because I like to challenge myself. But yeah, you know, I was just needing to get them done. You know, and the nice thing is that they're all valid. You know, songs. They still have relevancy to me. And you know, so I was able to finally put together a catalog that is old and new.
Kind of culminates
Yeah.
everything you've done. It's crazy because it feels like such a tight, cohesive release that you wouldn't guess that just from listening to the album. It feels like it's a very plotted beginning to end.
Well, that's good. Then you did a good job.
Then you did it right. Yay! All right.
But like some of those songs on there are like Great Spirit. We like made a video for it years ago. And,
yeah, I noticed that today.
Build a Bridge is fairly old, you know, and then yeah, It All Can Be Done's an old song, and you know we were playing those before they were recorded. That's kind of how we've always done it.
So is the title okay? Help me out with the title.
Yeah.
Here. Do I say it right when I say HOKA?
Yeah.
Okay. Every time I start, there's a few songs on the album where I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to look like an idiot trying to ask him about these things.
No, it's actually important that you do ask me, so then you know, then can be done correctly.
I want to like get into like yeah, because I can tell that there's so much meaning to some of this stuff, and I get a lot of it, and then there's stuff like that where I'm like, okay, I gotta ask, because otherwise I don't know how to learn otherwise.
It's a cool thing that this record has so much culture in it, you know, because I have so much culture in me, and we're able to help preserve languages and teach people about you know, languages that are still quite alive that they didn't even know were even still being spoken. So HOKA is a Lakota word, which is the tribe of the plains, and it means it could be translated loosely as like let's go, or more specifically, it's just an idea of a call to action. Crazy Horse would say that every time he goes into battle. That's kind of how I became sort of like quote unquote famous, I guess, in the Indian community, because it was such a popular thing to say as you were going into war.
Well, I mean, that feels like kind of what this album is a call to action in many ways. Like you have very purposeful music. It's not really like breakup songs and things like that. Like every song, feels like you want us to do something after listening to your music. It seems like.
That's not to say I haven't really written a breakup song.
I mean, before we got on.
In fact, We Are on Time is actually a breakup song, but I lean more towards the idea that it's all perfect. So it's fine. I love you. Take care of yourself.
Fair enough. How about the sound bites? Because love how the album opens. There's all these different sound
Yeah,
bites.
I'm a huge hip hop head.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, and the only other artist that I can really like refer to that has done those intros and outros fairly well in his records has been Bright Eyes. And and so all the intros and outros were big pieces of like my hip hop influence.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. It's fun because a lot of the records that have little sound bites, there's it's like one specific thing, but especially the opening art, there's like 5 or 6 different things going on at once, and like you gravitate towards certain phrases, but there's a lot of things you can infer from there. Like the Earth Needs Us is the one that like radiates, but there's a few other little. There's different voices.
Yeah, those are all my friends.
All your friends.
That have all said those exact things to me, and I made them say them again.
Is that the same thing with the Maybe I'm Not Here to Be a Superstar and We Shall Overcome?
Yeah, she is a Navajo poet, actually, Lala June.
Wow, that is very like that's something I come back to when I listen.
That's
to
cool.
Again and
yeah,
again.
She sent me a whole piece, and that was the one I picked out. And she's crazy cool.
I always have to wonder if it's like you write something and then you call someone, you're like, hey, can you say this so I'm not just talking to my own album? Or...
Right, no, I haven't done any of that, actually. Most of it, some of them I ask people to send me a poem or something, and maybe I'd use it.
Chop it up and throw it in.
Like Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary, I was going to have him do one, but he sent it to me like 6 months late. But now I have the audio piece for later, so.
Next album.
Yeah.
Next
totally,
cycle.
Totally.
Okay, well, I mean, we're only a week into this one, so I guess.
Oh, yeah. I'm way ahead of you, though.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the singles. So, what was the first one? Was the Zella
San
Ding
Quentin
song?
was the first
San
single.
Quentin was first. I love the video for this.
Thanks.
You guys have really cool art in pretty much everything you do.
Thanks, man.
And it seems like that's really important to you to capture the band in that way. So what's the story of San Quentin? Why lead with that song?
Well, first of all, it's the shortest song.
There are some long ones. We can't get around that.
I have a difficulty in narrowing it down to under 4 minutes. But it was the shortest song. It was also the most like sort of worldly, rock sound. It was going to be an easy step from our previous fan base to listen to it, as well as jumping into a new audience. You gotta think about all those crazy things, And then it was also a celebration song, The story is super heavy, but the song itself is a celebration of finally being able to let go of the past,
Do you feel you're a songwriter, or would you say you're a storyteller?
Definitely a storyteller first, I would say, and then a songwriter. Yeah.
Although
they kind of kind of the same thing. I guess,
kind of blends together. I mean, some people definitely.
In my work, it's definitely the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the beauty of the music, though, because I feel like there's that surface level what you can take away from just like hearing the hook or hearing the verse, but then. There's all these layers to lyrics where I'm like, I don't even know what these metaphors mean to him. I have to assign my own meanings, try to pick it apart. So then after that was the Zella Day song, was that the second one? Mm-hmm. Which is maybe the most straightforward song on the album. It's pretty direct, it feels like.
Yeah, the chorus is, and then whenever I sing the verses, I'm always like, wow, these are all things that I've sort of pieced together, and I wonder if anybody gets this. You know what I mean? They're not very specific pronouns. You know what I mean? They're kind of catered jokes to myself almost. But I don't know. That's good. I'm glad it comes across as legible.
There aren't a lot of guest appearances on the record, at least musician-wise.
Not musician-wise, but singer-wise, we, Zella, of course, will make a change, and then on the first track, Directions, we featured a band called Joseph. They're 3 sisters. I actually went to elementary school with them.
That's a good early morning song for me, Directions. I like it in the
cool.
morning, get that morning workout going, or I do yoga in the morning.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So that's I can start the record.
Yeah.
That's a nice little...
Have you listened to their record, Joseph?
No, I haven't.
Check them out.
Yeah.
And then the last track was kind of the big mashup.
Again, does not get under 4.5 minutes. Closer to 6.
No. It's Trevor Hall, Xavier Rudd, Leah Song from Rising Appalachia, and then Joseph singing the Wolf.
Did you know that was going to be the last song?
No, but when we first went into the rehearsal space and kind of hashed it out, it was pretty obvious that it was a finale track.
It's so big.
Yeah.
It's so big. You have all these guests.
It's like a rock opera.
I mean, it is. For your style of rock opera,
totally.
People shouldn't expect electric guitars whirling. But
there's no Queen voices in it, but
You can do it if you wanted to, I think.
Well, yeah, we could tell you that.
we talked about it before we hopped on here, but we should bring it up because I tell everyone to listen to it. What's the story behind Two Spies? Who's that for? Is that how you say it?
So I'll help you with that one. Dos pies.
Two Pies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I was
Spanish.
like, I doubt it's two pies.
Yeah.
So.
But in the studio, we would always laugh and call it the pies, the pies song.
Okay.
And everybody struggled with the name because they were afraid no one would be able to say it.
I feel like you probably encountered that a
I
lot.
was just like, you know what? I don't care.
You shouldn't.
Like, who
cares?
If you speak Spanish, then you know what it is. If you don't, then you should figure it out. And then we put it in quotations that it means your feet, of course, so that people could understand. But what was the question? What is it about?
Yeah, what's the story behind that song?
Actually, ironically enough, it's a song about friendship, and there was a muse involved, and yes, it was a woman, and she was a very dear friend, still is a very dear friend of mine, and it was a vow, a vow to be there for somebody through all of the trials and tribulations of life. And then, ironically enough, it was the last thing that Craig heard before he passed away.
Wow.
Yeah, I sent him a voice memo before it was recorded, and his wife played it for him the day he passed away. So it became also like a sort of a torch in that way to keep carrying the flame.
Well, it gets across.
Yeah.
There's something special when you get an album and like there's a single out, but the email that you get doesn't like listen to the single. It's listen to this album cut. You know what I mean? Like I think that's something.
Cool.
I think that's something I found a lot with this record is that when I share it with people, everyone has their own like this is the song that they gravitate towards. And I guess that's the goal with writing an album.
Yeah.
That it's not just the singles. People like the cuts.
The
deep cuts. And with 19 songs. There's a lot of cuts.
Yeah, 19 songs including the intros.
Including the intros. Yeah. You could call them intermissions, but they're so well orchestrated that it's.
Thank you.
Do you? Is there one thing you hope people take away from the record, or is it like just there's a lot of things you hope to take away?
I would just say that the most broad thing would be to walk away with a sense of empowerment. That whatever it is for you. Like you're saying, you wake up and you can put a track on and do yoga. That in itself it leans in on the fact that it's being used for something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not one of those things that you can listen to it for turn up, you can listen to it for turn down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I always say that as a activist as well, I consider that I always feel like every movement needs a soundtrack, and so whatever chapter you're in your own movement, I would hope this allows you to have a soundtrack to that.
Well, I think that's going to get across because there's so many things that when I was trying to make notes beforehand and I was like, what do I think this album's about? And I was like, I don't know. You can make a change. You can influence someone's life. There's a little bit of healing in there. If you're hurt and you need some healing. And then there's like this overarching sense of like, and you're wearing a hat right now. This is American Native again. And that's also something else where it's so clearly rooted in your own personal cultural history.
Totally.
And I think that there's also that angle where you're like, you have to Google some of this stuff to like get it, and it kind of makes us kind of ask the listener to take it upon themselves to look
do a little research.
Yeah. You like challenging the audience in that way?
Absolutely. I'm a coyote. I'm always poking at people to do that.
Fair enough.
I think that's important in music. Those as far as like, there's not a lot of indigenous artists working on this level or even in this way, and so I feel like I have a responsibility to always be in a way of educating people, because we're trying to preserve a lot of things that have passed away from us, So yeah.
So is that what you consider? I don't know. What do you think is the biggest success of this album for you? Is it the fact that you get that culturalness apart, or is it just we got this record out?
Biggest success I would say is the fact that we were able to build a bridge between so many different places in the world, in a sense. Being able to offer multiple different genres of music, as well as obviously a lot of different themes, and connect the dots to so many different people, walks of life, the people that are featured in the record, to the producer, to where we push it in different kinds of communities, so the music will travel, the music will go where it needs to be, and so the success is already written, I guess, in some senses.
The album's been out for a week now. This is going to come out probably tomorrow. So you haven't really dove into the album tour cycle yet. Does that start with Electric Forest basically?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, festival season, but then our main tour will be in October.
In October, is that a headline tour? Are you supporting? Oh yeah, I know. It's that far out. It's probably under wraps-ish right now.
Yeah, we're still working it out, but yeah. We'll be in Europe all of August to releasing the record out there as well.
Oh wow, okay. How's your audience out there? Because there's a kind of a built-in audience here from what I feel like. The Tribe is so heavy here in America. What's it like?
It's massive.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's getting better. We've only gone out a couple times, but we'd sold out our tours every time. So,
wow.
So we're looking at a good run.
Is there a place that you have yet to conquer that you'd like to?
Yeah, South America.
So have you been there yet?
Not yet.
I have, but there is a fan page already. I saw it today, so they exist.
Yeah, well, we have a really awesome reggae roots following as well, and
you're like tangential to that a little bit. I can see that.
What's that?
You're like a tangential. You're just a little offshoot of that a little bit.
Yeah,
I can see how people could lump you in there, but I would never be like, they're a reggae band. But I get it. It's
No, we can play reggae, but we don't really that specifically. But it's great that we've been embraced by the reggae community because we love reggae, and also it's a huge market for us. And, also, some of our favorite bands, play reggae kind of. It's roots music, I guess.
I think it's a feeling that I think is in your music that you can find in reggae music. There's that sense of community that comes from your music, and that's big in there. And I feel like you probably get lumped into the jam band at times too, like that world. I mean, we talked about festival season.
We step in many streams.
But that's
We're
good.
all heading to the ocean.
So many artists feel like they're in this pocket and they have no way to get out, and you almost have the opposite problem where it's like you just go across the board. We're a little bit of everything.
I'm just splashing around.
Is there something that you hope comes out of this album that maybe hasn't happened to you yet career-wise? I mean, are you looking to the next plateau? Or
I want to be able to tour with some of my favorite artists, from the old guard to the new, from Neil Young to... say Mumford even, you know what I mean, in that sense. But also I would love to see in our time, they're doing it in some capacity, but I feel like it'd be even more drastic if, say we were touring with from the old guard, we'd tour with Dead Prez, and you mixed up those pockets, or in the new guard like Chance the Rapper, you know what I mean? Where you're able to put, a similar consciousness together, but totally different genres.
Maybe you can just be the backing band for Dead Prez, so just come out, make it easier for them.
I actually did that kind of in Nashville, last tour. They came out and they came up on a track. So we were kind of their backing band, I guess.
Dead Prez is one of those acts that I feel like there's this young generation that doesn't have
any idea who they are,
and it's such a shame.
Yeah. Because they're still alive and kicking butt.
Do you feel like you're a political artist at all?
Absolutely. I think if you don't relate and speak out about politics, then you're being silly because you're in the system.
Yeah.
And if you complain about anything in the world that's systematic, then you should probably think about your footprint and also your involvement. Yeah. If you have a Social Security card, you're in politics.
Yeah, I can imagine this is a crazy year for you in that aspect as well. Then
I'm a big observer.
Yeah.
I did it. I campaigned with Bernie for a little while this year.
Got your Bernie button out there on your hat. Yeah.
And it was the first year. I feel like a lot of young people who supported Bernie that that we felt like we were inspired to step up. There was a lot of beautiful things that he in dialogue that he created. And it's not done. He's needed in different capacity now, and so are we. So we're still working with them, and there's a lot of interesting things that are coming through from that.
Well, I feel like I'm kind of surprised because there's a lot of discussion around politics this year with young people, but the lack of political songs and artists is kind of surprising towards young artists. It's weird.
Yeah, did you hear that? Rage and Cypress Hill started a new band too.
Yeah. And that there's that rapper YG has his "Fuck Donald Trump" song that's kind of blowing up, but it's just
so easy to say that. It's not helping create solutions
and rap in between. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's it's not exactly what I'm going for, and then I hear this record, and you don't have necessarily a song that I feel is directly political, but there's this sense of urgency to get a better understanding of the world around you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually have the solutions.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do know on a spiritual and ethical level that what I can offer and what my role is to offer a different way of thinking, and like I said, music for a movement. So I stand next to people that are helping create solutions, and I support those people. And I would, it does surprise me, I've been talking to the old guard, like the old 60s singers, that were political activists, singers, there aren't that many, artists that hold that weight.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising. That's why, it makes me happy to see that you're doing it, because you have a platform and you recognize that you have the ability to at least influence people or urge them to do something.
No.
You're not trying to give them a solution as much as being like, do some research on your own.
Yeah.
Don't watch Talking Heads.
Well, you could. I think that it's important to always remember that it's not just one person that's going to change the world.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders can't do it alone. He knows that. That's what he's saying. That's why we all. That's why, like you're saying, it's all about furthering your education about what can we do to fix the issues that we have been trying to fix for longer than your parents and their parents could talk about.
Probably, yeah, definitely. My parents and I don't really talk politics. It's one of those weird things with them.
I know. My mom and I just had a conversation in the car yesterday.
Was
and I was
the
fairly
whole conversation the whole
Well,
time?
she definitely voted for Trump, and I knew she did. She's very Republican, and it was very cool to hear her actually I started going off on it for a second just because, but very carefully.
Yeah.
Because she asked me about it,
Mm-hmm.
and then she actually agreed with me on some of the points about those other people, and I was like, wow, that's interesting.
It's weird when you have one of those conversations with your parents. No matter the topic where you're like, oh, we're just being like two people.
Yeah, on a very human level.
Yeah. When you're growing up, there's that moment where you realize your parents are just people who had you. They're just regular people, and then you have conversations with them in that context, and it's like, oh, it's strange.
Yeah.
So this is what
it's
you are.
It's kind of comforting.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I feel like it's a deeper understanding of who your parents are.
Yeah, on a very human level.
Yeah. Well, man, I gotta tell you, I know you gotta rush off to Electric Fetus. I almost forgot.
Such a great name.
It is such a great name. It's a huge story. I think you're gonna be impressed. It's pretty massive.
I'm stoked.
It's great. I know you're gonna go. I'm gonna make it there myself. I gotta go grab the
thanks for coming
from her
down.
job, and hopefully.
I know you probably already are all set and stuff, but I'm a minister as well. I facilitate weddings, so.
If you're
Just throw it out there
6, let's bring you in.
In case your minister falls away.
Oh yeah, falls away. I would be into it. She's probably into it.
I'm always like, sweet. The music doesn't work out. I can always just marry people.
You could play songs to be the band, and
it could be multifaceted.
Yeah.
The singer, the minister. I can
full service wedding guy.
I can make cakes.
Perfect. All right, maybe we'll make that happen. But so HOKA's available now everywhere.
Yeah.
Basically, anywhere that sells music, it's on Spotify. I always tell people that if they have the money to buy it, just buy it. But it's on Spotify.
It's a sweet record to have,
It looks the vinyl looks
sick,
gorgeous.
yeah.
I haven't gotten my copy yet. I just have digital. But
I don't even have a copy yet, but I've seen it a lot.
I've seen the photo on your website, and I was like, oh, that's pretty.
It's a cool piece of art,
And you're gonna be on tour pretty much the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And into next year, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Do you Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your Twitter account?
It's just Nahko Bear.
Okay, Nahko Bear. All right, Nahko Bear. Is there a reason behind that name? Is the bear
Well,
part
actually,
of that?
Nahko is short for Nakwese, it actually means bear.
Okay.
So
I'm
when
going to
people
attempt to
pick up on
pronounce that. I'll
they
just
know
say bear.
Nahko, yeah. I know, that's why I don't go by Nakwese.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for coming to the office.
Appreciate
today,
it, man. Thanks for having me. You guys can't hear, but we're handshaking right now.
Yes, we're handshaking. That's the sound
It's
of
a sealed
it.
deal.